Ever wondered why it's so hard for you to make the right decision when there's two choices in front of you? I'm going to introduce you to what I call the multiverse method. And this is something that has allowed me to go from 320 pounds when I played college football and excel on the field there, but also when after I quit college football and started to focus on my health, go to 210 pounds. And I have this picture of Doctor Strange here because this is actually something that I've taken from Marvel. And really, this has been helping me my entire life. It's why I feel like I'm such a high achiever at 22. And it really does apply to every other area of life, not just fat loss, not just self development, and not even just your career. Every aspect of life, this applies. And if you're looking to actually drop down some weight, if you're looking to lock in on life and start making the right decision when you see them in front of you, use this method. So I want to run through exactly what this method is, how I've applied it, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. So, what is the multiverse method? I have all of these different pictures of me because, yes, believe it or not, this is actually all the same person. Um, I have all of these here to represent this. In the Marvel multiverse, the concept, if you're not familiar, is that there's just millions and an infinite amount of different universes out there. Each one of them has a separate copy of you. Now, in each of those universes, you have made the different choices every single time. There's an infinitely different number of you out in the multiverse. So, in one universe, maybe you locked in and you hit the gym every day for 10 straight years and you look like this. In another universe, maybe you went and played college football and you look like this. Maybe in another universe, you never hit puberty and you look like this. I think you see where I'm going with this is that within the multiverse, there's a million infinite different versions of you that have made different choices along your life. And each one of those branching paths has allowed you to go into different versions of you. And how do I use this? Well, let me introduce it to you. So, in the multiverse method, every time you're provided with a stimulus, which is just a fancy word for like a decision or a choice for you to make, you have two options. You can either act like the version of you who makes the good response, like this version, or you can act like the version of you who has made the bad response, like that version. And what this allows you to do, so say you're faced with a stimulus, like you have a craving late at night. Now, you have two choices ahead of you. You can give into the craving right now, which would be like you acting like this version of me, which obviously is not very good for you. I was pretty overweight there. Or you can follow the 20-minute rule and act like this version of me. Now, this is total side point. What's the 20-minute rule? 20-minute rule means that when you have a craving, you give yourself 20 minutes of time. And after that 20 minutes, if you still want the craving, then have the craving. But most of the time, what you're going to find is after that 20 minutes, you're not even going to want the craving anymore. And you're going to be able to resist it so easily. The thing is with this, with the 20-minute rule, you will follow this and realize, damn, like I really don't want the craving anymore. But on the off chance that you still do want the craving, you have to give in and give yourself that craving. Because now, after the 20-minute rule, okay, say now you have two more choices. You have the good and you have the bad. The good is actually to give into the craving because the bad choice, where you don't give into the craving, creates cognitive dissonance, which means that there's a difference in between what you say you're going to do and what you actually do. So if you say in 20 minutes, I'm going to have a craving if I still want it, and you don't do it, even though you still really want it, now you're creating the habit and you're telling your brain that it's okay for you to not follow your word, which is an extremely dangerous habit to form. So follow the 20-minute rule. You have a craving, give yourself 20 minutes, go do something else to distract yourself. I usually just go for a walk. And after that 20-minute walk, if I still want the craving, I will just have it. But if I don't, if I can very easily resist it, then I will. And that's how I solve the cravings. Next example of the multiverse method. Say your alarm goes off. You have two options now. You can hit snooze, which would be you acting like this version of me who is very overweight. And I've done that a lot of times before, and it really does fuck up your whole day when you hit snooze. Or you can follow the 5-minute rule. What is the 5-minute rule? The 5-minute rule means you have 5 minutes to get out of bed, or if you don't, then you might as well be acting like this guy. Because here's the thing with the 5-minute rule. Every single time you follow the 5 minute rule, after you told yourself you were going to do it, you're eliminating that cognitive dissonance and you're starting your day with discipline. So this means that later in the day, when you tell yourself, I'm going to eat healthy, it's much easier for you to do it because you've already checked off a couple boxes of you following discipline. You've already done a couple of things today that you didn't necessarily want to do. Nobody wants to get out of bed within 5 minutes in the morning. That shit sucks. Everybody wants to hit snooze. But when you hit snooze, you're affirming the action of creating cognitive dissonance, which means that there's now a space between your thoughts and your actions, which is no bueno. Next example of the multiverse method, going out for drinks later. Say you're going out for drinks later tonight. What are you going to do? You have two options ahead of you. You can either say, I deserve the drinks, which is me acting like this version of me in the multiverse, which is fat. And that version of me would say, oh, I just deserve it. I don't need to do anything to earn it. I've had a long week. I've had a long day at work. I don't need to do anything explicit to actually earn those drinks. And what do? When you go out? You drink more than you want to because there's no value attached to those drinks. There's nothing you did to actually earn that. And what does that do? Not only are you acting like this version of me, but you're going to start looking like him too. You're going to start getting that big ass belly. You're going to start getting those man boobs. And that is not a good situation to be in. The other option for you is the good part of the multiverse, where you act like this version of me who earns the drinks. So he went into the gym, he lifted weights. That's a barbell. If you can't tell, that looks horrible. He lifted weights. Maybe he did 30 minutes of cardio. He did his 10K steps and he tracked his food and his protein goal. Then when he goes out to earn the drinks, he knows that there's actually value attached to those drinks, which means that I hope you guys like my drawings here, which means that it's very much easier for him to see the actual value in the cost of those drinks. So it's a much easier way for him to resist over drinking and binge eating because he realized what actually the work required to get there. He didn't deserve the drinks, he earned the drinks. And lastly, the low dopamine activity before the evening. What does this mean? So say at noon, you have to go and let's just say this. You start your day at 9 a.m. with your job. If in the morning the first thing you did when you got out of bed was you got on your phone, you started scrolling Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, whatever artificial dopamine activity you partake in. Maybe you just eat sweets in the morning. Maybe whatever that artificial dopamine high you're getting in the morning would absolutely just fry your ability to perform low dopamine activities, which means that you're going to be acting like this version of me in the multiverse who is fat and overweight, like we talked before, because that's exactly what he would do. He would get up in the morning and he would start his day with participating in very high dopamine activities, which makes him feel absolutely amazing in the moment. I mean, who doesn't want to play video games at 7:30 a.m. before going to work? That feels great. But as soon as you get to work, you're making it so much harder for yourself to work because when you go from a period of high dopamine to a period of low dopamine later in the day, it's very hard for you to actually execute these tasks. But say you practice neuro loading, which is the concept of delaying the dopamine until later in the day, which means that your new baseline in the morning is not here after you play video games. It's not this. It is you wake up and you're just here. Then later in the day, when you want to play video games, when you want to drink beer, when you want to have sweets, then you can spike your dopamine late at night. You loaded all of the dopamine late into the night, which makes it very easy for you to perform low dopamine activity tasks, like locking in at work, like being extremely productive at work. This is something that I practice every single day. The only reason I get on my phone in the mornings is to post a singular Instagram story of my morning electrolytes because it's just what I do. I don't get on my phone until at least 10 or 11 a.m. And I really try not to scroll Instagram Reels until about 2 to 3 p.m. Because if I do it before then and I don't practice neuroloading, not only am I acting like this guy, but I'm frying my dopamine receptors and making it very hard for myself to perform low dopamine activities like making the right choice on eating right versus eating wrong. So you can see how one path leads to another. So if you get artificial dopamine early in the morning, you choose this path. Now you're faced later in the day with another path, another split decision, where you can either act like this guy or this guy. But the thing is, since you already got that artificial dopamine high, when you get to the point of eating right versus eating wrong, it's going to be a lot harder for you. It's actually going to look like this to get to this point. But here, it's so much easier for you just to say no and eat wrong. But when you practice neuroloading, now you came here, you practiced neuroloading, so you didn't get on your phone, you didn't fry your dopamine receptors until about 2 p.m. When it comes to the point later in the day when it's easier for you to eat right than eat wrong, this is what the decision tree really looks like then. Because it's much easier for you to say yes because your dopamine has not been spiked artificially early in the morning. You're just stable. And late at night, maybe that's when you watch TV, that's when you go on your phone, then you can spike it. It has no adverse effects on your day. And that is something that has really helped me, not only with neuroloading, but the multiverse method in general has genuinely improved my life in so many ways because every single decision throughout your day, you can either act like this version of me in the multiverse or I can act like this version of me in the multiverse. And that's a very, very easy decision when I put those together. It's not just do I get on my phone right now or do I not get on my phone right now? It's which version of me do I act like? Do I act like him or do I act like the fat version of me? And hopefully that's been very helpful for you guys. This is something that like genuinely I can't state has really changed my life in so many ways. And if you guys want some more examples of how I've used this in my life, just let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear you guys inputs. If you find this helpful, let me know. If you find this confusing, let me know. I will record another one and go over it in more detail. Possibly there's some parts I might have skipped over. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.